Okay, hey, Alita Army. Welcome to the Alita Livestream of June the 25th, 2021. Alita Battle Angel and Soldier, Similarities and Differences, where we discuss all things to do with the movie Alita Battle Angel, the source manga Gundam, and the desired sequels. I am your host, the Muskogee Creek, and I am in Linville, North Carolina. And my guest here is Den from Tampa, Florida. How's it going, Den?
I can barely hear you. You're breaking up a lot.
Oh
You
gosh,
might
it
want
must be
you
my
might
mic.
want to do something with your mic, maybe unplug it and replug it or something, because you're breaking up a lot. You're really choppy.
Well, it's probably because I'm on my laptop. Is probably what that is. But can you hear me any better now?
A little better it seems. Speak, say something. Just say a whole sentence.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about Alita Battle Angel and how it compares with the movie Soldier that came out in 1996.
That was better until the end.
Oh,
It was
okay.
going
Well,
good, and then all of a sudden it started breaking up again.
yeah, I'll have to get a mic or something like that. But I guess we'll get a hold of that in just a couple of seconds here. So, how's it going, Dan?
It's going pretty good. Just real tired today. That's about it. So it might be a little bit low energy, but I got a coffee here. So
Oh, cool.
hopefully that changes.
Did you go to Muay Thai?
No, actually I've taken the entire week off because
Ah,
injuries.
yeah, because normally you're kind of going to Muay Thai. Usually, oh, there's Maxie.
Yeah, I've taken
You usually don't get in until about like 20 after 7 or something when you get
yeah,
back.
that's when I take out. I don't do the second hour. I'll get here at about 7. But yeah, dude, I've taken the entire week off because of injuries, and it's a drag, man. It's depressing. I am so much more low energy this week than I normally am just because of that shit.
Oh God. Anyway, we just had Max Tack Dry join us. How's it going, Maxie?
Oh yeah, I'm feeling much the same way as Dan. I think. Bit
Oh
sore, I'm
Jesus.
sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to yell because Den says my mic's not doing too good. I'm on my mic, on my laptop. So anyway, it's
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does Max hear you the same way?
He sounds fine to me.
He sounds fine to you, so it might be my headphones or something. So let me disconnect those and put it back on. All right.
Just speak normally, Creaky.
okay. Well, I'm speaking normally right now. How's that?
Yeah, you're plenty loud enough to me.
Oh, okay. Well, that rascal Den must have been trying to punk me again or something.
Cranberry says that you sound fine on the YouTube stream. So there you go. Hey, Cran. Hey,
All
Ash.
right. So anyway, what you been up to, Maxie?
I spent 48 hours painting like a demon, and now my arm's really sore.
Jesus. Have you got your house remodeled yet?
We're actually got a vaguely functional bathroom upstairs for the first time in a month, so that's nice.
Ah, nice.
All right, guys. It was me. It was my headphones. Sorry. I'm just as much of a boomer as Gary. So if there's a problem, we're both just gonna monkey around and smack the computer.
Gary's a pre-boomer.
He's pre-boomer.
No, I'm a boomer. I am definitely a boomer.
Yeah, we're gonna end up like that scene in Zoolander where they couldn't figure out to get the information out of the computer. So, I've got my headphones fixed now, so I can hear you guys well. So yeah, about your bathroom, Max.
Cool.
Oh yeah, it's looking really swish, but we had to spend a couple of days painting the ceiling and architraves and cornice and everything, and now my arm's really sore because most of it's above my head. You know that whole wax on, wax off thing? Well, let's just paint left, paint right, paint left, paint right.
Yes. Yeah, there's a Mr. Miyagi and everything, isn't there?
It sure is if you do it enough times. Oh.
Yeah.
And I got my son's 8th birthday party on today, although COVID's getting a bit scary here, so we're a bit concerned about it.
Still?
Yeah. Well, we haven't.
Oh, go ahead.
We haven't had like mass outbreaks here. Like you've had it running rampant the whole time, and
It's like the chicken pox. Just get that shit when you're 6, and you'll be done with it. You know what I mean?
I've been 6 for a long time, dude.
You know what I mean? But like, we had like the big outbreaks in our cities up here, but then now everything's kind of tapering down. A lot of people have either, developed temporary immunities, gotten vaccinated, and things like that. And some people just really just don't care. They'll get that shit, be out for a week, and then be back with half a lung next week. They were fat anyway. They weren't running marathons. So they don't care.
Or dead.
Or that. But that's mostly like the old dudes, like you guys. You guys would die. I'll be fine. I'll be okay.
Nah,
I'm a strapping young lad.
Nah, the creek is immortal. Nothing's going to kill me.
No, I'm starting to believe that too.
Well, I'm not immortal, so I'm quite mortal. Thank you.
Come on, Max. You've survived a lot of shit. I think you might be immortal too. You can
I think
over here at the immortal.
If I'm immortal in this body, that's really disappointing.
Maybe you've got the concept of immortality wrong, because like Nova, basically immortal, right? But a lot of fucked up shit happens to that guy. He's been gutted and all that shit. Maybe that's just how immortality is. It's just kind of like, okay, I get fucked up every now and then. But,
he's not immortal in the truest sense. He's biologically immortal. He's that.
Yeah.
But if you're biologically immortal, you can still be killed. So it's just your cells don't suffer from senescence, or a function of time type of degradation, type situation.
He's like a starfish. You cut him in half, and then there's just 2 Novas.
Yeah.
Functionally, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I wanted to talk about these 2 movies because they have a lot of similarities. And I think, Maxie, we've talked about this on some of the Radio Chaos streams. There are a lot of movies that have similarities because people keep drawing on a lot of the same ideas, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing's developed in isolation. What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
All the things.
I see. It's just perfecting the same idea over and over and over again. And sometimes one iteration of that idea might resonate more with some than others,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at it, Soldier, what year was that?
1996.
96. Okay, so, I mean, Alita hadn't been out in the West all that long.
Yeah.
They may have drawn some ideas because it was current from when writing the script for Soldier from Alita. It's possible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, we're doing a Soldier because I was 5 years old in that year. So you have to remind me.
I saw it at cinemas, you young whippersnapper.
Damn. Did I miss anything?
Boys,
I mean, be honest.
I was like 46 or 47 when that sucker came out.
Wow, that's a lie. I don't believe it.
Yeah, no shit, Dan.
I don't believe it.
So anyway, well, I want to just kind of hit Alita first. Now, this one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because we've seen a version of this slide many times on the stream here. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say this too. Angelus he's kind of he's sickly today, so he may not join us. He's I guess he's having some movement problems, and that's all I'm going to say about that one. So
they just don't make them like they used to, hey guys?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't. So anyway, but getting back to Alita here, and if we've talked about this, now we're not going to talk about Alita and her Imaginos body here because we want to compare the movies, and she didn't have when she was in the military, she didn't have the Imaginos body. So, but anyway, even in her berserker body, she's really strong. She's really super durable because she can self-heal. As a matter of fact, she even has the ability to regrow limbs if they get chopped off. So that's that's kind of interesting for her. She's very fast. I've in her berserker body, I've calculated her speeds in excess of 125 miles an hour. Really fast reflexes, deflects bullets. Super duper stamina. Very old. Even though I guess when she was in the military, she was like 17 years old. She may have started when she was 16, went for training, and then by the time she got out of training and came to Earth, the fight, I guess she was like 17. I guess Maxie, you and Dan could probably correct me on that. I might be off a year or two, but that's cool.
Somewhere in the late teens, yeah.
Yeah, something like
depends on which version you're going with.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's that version that that's that YouTube video that talks about the Great War of the Fall, and that's slightly different than the manga, but that's okay. Yeah,
slightly.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be kind, Maxie.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway, sorry. This it's the scientist in me that just goes, "What? Your data? Look at the data, man."
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, she can self-modify now. That's kind of goes to her healing, and that's and I think on some past streams we've talked about her and other maybe androids, let's say, and other cyborgs that they can self-modify too, but they have to do it with intent, whereas Alita, it's kind of subconscious with her. She automatically heals, She certainly has that plasma weapon. She knows Panzerkunst. And one of her most endearing traits to me is the fact that when she gets focused on something, she does all she can to achieve that, and it's kind of like we say down south here. We say she's like a dog on a bone. That's what she's like, when she gets on something like that. So, but anyway, those traits even were with her when she was in the military. Oh, come on.
Likely, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, that sometimes my computer screws up, But anyway, we've also talked about this on, on some streams that, whether she's, in the Berserker ranking, she's like a warrior, but I think we even thought she might have been a high warrior. We're not sure about that, and I don't recall seeing anything in the Mars Chronicles that would suggest what her rank was. She was one of the two, because she was definitely above war artist, and that's just barely out of boot camp, if you want to think of it, or say apprentice would be, so and she was probably, from what we gathered from the movie, she's probably Gelda's right hand person, that second in command only to Gelda. At least that's the impression I got when they were going up that supply tube to Zalem. So anyway, I guess that would be like her being maybe a corporal or a sergeant. That's kind of the analog in the militaries here on Earth, Definitely not an officer, that's for sure, because I believe Gelda would have been something like either maybe a sergeant, maybe an E9, or it could be she was a lieutenant. Who knows, But she was a rank ahead of Alita. Any thoughts about that, Maxie or Dan?
I think Gelda was probably 2 ranks ahead of Alita. I think she's been at it quite a bit longer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because she was already a full-fledged warrior by the time Erica and Alita were children.
Yeah, that's right.
She'd be in the realm of licensed master.
That's probably.
I think Elder would require a few decades to a century to get to, but to get sort of timing grade kind of thing.
Yeah, she was quite a bit ahead of Alita, but just judging from the where Alita was right beside her, in the climbing up that supply tube, when they were attacking Zalem, and then of course, in the novelization, you got the feeling that, which is a little different than the manga too, but the novelization, how Gelda told Alita she was going to be the best the world has ever seen, and that kind of thing when they were fighting on the moon, I guess, So, but anyway, Alita's an accomplished, she's an accomplished soldier. She's not a newbie right out of boot camp. She knows what she's doing. As a matter of fact, she's got quite a bit of training, that specific for cyborgs. And of course, one of them there is that Panzerkunst, that's a specific martial art, for cyborgs. And, she's quite good at it. Yeah, she's also one of the things about Panzerkunst, certainly we got a slide coming up on that, but, it's, the folks that practice this, the practitioners of Panzerkunst, they learn to fight in zero gravity, or very, very low gravity. They certainly, their techniques, are really adept at fighting opponents that are much bigger than they are. And we saw Alita kind of use that against Gruishka, that he's quite a bit bigger than she is. But, even in her doll body, she was pretty, she beat him in the first fight and was certainly going to get killed in the second one if she hadn't been rescued. But pretty much on par with him, I think, even in her doll body, which spoke highly to her ability at Panzerkunst, So anyway, what do y'all think about that, folks?
I don't have a lot to disagree with. I mean, we've discussed these things many times, and kind of have the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, and she learned this in whatever the military's version of boot camp was. That's it's probably where she learned Panzerkunst. Because I recall reading in the Mars Chronicles. It kind of to me it's like volume 2 is out of place almost. But she's mostly a kid in the Mars Chronicles. So. And I didn't get the feeling that she knew Panzerkunst when she was a little kid, so she had to have learned it in the military, I think. Dan, do you see any similarities between Panzerkunst, say, and Muay Thai or some other martial art?
No, Panzerkunst is mostly kung fu type martial arts. There's there's elements of like Wing Chun and stuff like that, some of the newer kung fu styles. Yeah. In there, it looks like there's a little bit of like wushu and stuff. That's that's one of the big expeditionary. I guess that's the way to put it. What's that word? Exhibitionary. That's the word I'm looking for. Exhibitionary styles of kung fu, where it's a lot of demonstration, a lot of acrobatics. So there's a lot of that. That's the style that Jet Li does for his movies. Yeah. That's more of what you see in what Alita was doing, like that really, really low stance that she does, and the chain punch that she does in the mirror. That's all like more Chinese styles. Muay Thai is more of it's a hammer, not an ornate sword. You know what I mean? Kung Fu is more of an ornate sword that you would never take in a battle. It would probably break if you took it into real battle. You don't want to nick it. You don't want to ding it. And then Muay Thai is a battle axe, that was started from war and is used today as a hammer, as a tool. But a lot of what you see in the alley fight is not Kung Fu. And actually what I like about Alita is it's a very realistic thing here that happens as a side tangent. Joe Rogan is famous for saying, you see all these fancy Kung Fu masters practicing their forms and stuff, but then once they get in a fight in the park, it looks like MMA. Well, you saw Alita practicing her form in the mirror, and it looked really fancy. But then once she got in that alley fight, she literally just does ground and pound. She mounts the Joker-looking guy and just punches him to death. Right. And so, which is why I love that scene so much, because it's so simplistic in its brutality. It's just there's no talking, there's no anything. She just goes right to it. But yeah, that's it's kind of that's more of what you see there. And I guess you could say that when it comes to her actual fighting, it's more, I guess, functional martial arts like MMA kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I know my brother and I have talked about this. My brother, he's a 4th degree black belt in Kenpo karate and a 1st degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I'm a 1st degree black belt in Kenpo, but I haven't really practiced in a very long time. But we were talking about how we think that kata by itself, just doing kata, is really worthless. When you're fighting, Now, what kata does do for you, though, is it teaches someone who's maybe new to the martial art. It teaches them how to put moves together. It kind of gets their mind going in the right direction, putting moves together, But once a fight starts, it's kind of fluid. There's no preset, I'm gonna take one step to the right and punch, take another step back and then do a front kick, take another step to the left and do a side kick. It doesn't work like that in fighting. Fighting is very, very fluid, But the thing about kata, though, is that it does teach your mind, the techniques and putting them together. Now once you get past all that, it's up to you, how you're going to do that.
Here's the thing, kata has its place, right? So kata is very good for so when it comes to benefits for fighting, kata has very limited benefits. So
Yeah.
I would say good for balance and hand-eye coordination, that kind of stuff, learning how to,
Yeah.
because a lot of kata, like taekwondo and karate, focus heavily on making snaps, with their punches and stuff like that. That's good with learning how to generate power in short distances, which is good for fighting. But then, beyond that, kata is good in the fact that not all martial arts are meant for war and combat sports. Like I said,
Yeah.
wushu is an exhibitionary style. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's not meant to go in the streets and defend yourself or take it into an MMA cage. So it's
Yeah.
good at what it does. And kata, I think her name is Rika Usami or something like that. She competes in the Olympics for Japan for karate kata. Not, and she's a waifu, by the way. But her doing kata,
I gotta check her out.
she's not doing it to beat people up. She's doing it because that's her sport. You know what I mean? Almost like you can't expect ballet or figure skating to figure skating, that's fake because you can't use that in a fight. Because I get like that sometimes when it comes to martial arts, but you gotta understand, like, sometimes the sport is the form, is the kata. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can't completely say, "Oh, I wasted my time doing kata," because my wife gets down on herself a lot, and I hate seeing people who are black belts in taekwondo and karate saying, "Oh, I wasted my time." No, you did what you wanted to do. It wasn't a waste of time. You got good at what you wanted to get good at. If you wanted to get good at fighting, maybe you could have steered in a different direction. But guess what? You still have more life.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I agree with you. I think some martial arts are better than others at fighting. I was talking on one stream about Tai Chi. Now, Tai Chi is not generally thought of as fighting and stuff like that. But I remember many years ago, I fought or sparred with this guy. He was like the 10th degree black belt, but he was also, I guess you would say he was a red belt, although that's more of a Korean thing. But he was also a Tai Chi master. So he taught that and stuff like that. And when I sparred with him, I couldn't, and I wasn't a world beater as a black belt, but I was decent, I sparred with the World Karate Association champion once, and did okay after he beat my butt pretty good. But anyway, but I could not lay a glove on this guy, on this Tai Chi master, who was also a 10th degree black belt in karate too, by the way. And the guy was, because he did the kata, but that was just for him. He was just doing it for, like, how would you say, physical fitness or, wellness, something like that,
Tai Chi, it's not known as a combat sport. It's what it's mostly known for is for elderly folks or disabled folks to have a low impact way to get into shape.
Yep.
And I don't down it for that or anything like that. Because here's the thing, back in the day when some of these martial arts were made, they didn't have a TV to where all of the martial arts in the world can come together and figure out what works the best, like we did in UFC 1. But I don't know. Tai Chi, it's not bad. And there's people who practice Tai Chi that are also fighters. There's some guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's jacked. And he does like very, very, very like, mystical kung fu style stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff that us guys in boxing and Muay Thai and MMA make fun of, but he's also a fighter. He's fought champions in the Muay Thai ring. He's fought in MMA as well. This guy he's legit. He's practiced all of it. So just because someone may enjoy doing Tai Chi or karate or a less combat effective style doesn't mean that they also don't know how to beat your ass. So,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, my brother, he knows Boss Rutan, so I love Boss Rutan. That's cool dude. He knows him quite well. He shot video for him and stuff like that. I don't think he's seen him in a few years, but they'd kind of kid around a little bit. And,
by the way, another slight tangent is that the fact that a lot of people like to say that Bruce Lee is the father of MMA, which is a weird myth that people came up with. Boss Rutan fought in Pancrase, which that word comes from the word pancration, which was literally ancient Greek MMA. The Greeks had boxing. The Greeks
Yeah.
had wrestling, the two of the oldest sports in history.
Yes.
And they also had pancration, where you put together, I forgot the Greek words for it, you put together kicking, punching, and wrestling.
Yeah.
And there were specific rules to it, like they didn't use gloves with it. And there was like specific things you couldn't do from wrestling, and specific things you couldn't do from boxing. Like it was legit MMA. Yeah. And for some reason, people forgot about pancrase, where Bas Rutten fought. And for some reason think that Bruce Lee started MMA, you know what I mean? But
I kind of had my doubts about Bruce Lee starting MMA when I first heard it on YouTube. I went, no, that don't sound right to me.
Yeah, he had good ideas. Basically, Bruce Lee was looking for the holes in his own game, and a lot of people have expanded that out to being like talking about everything with martial. No, he was looking for the holes in his own game, and in his book, he shared what he found. You know, that doesn't mean that he's a father of MMA. Like they say, he's the one where the idea comes from. And so a lot of people give him way too much credit for that. And I don't think Bruce Lee would give himself that credit either.
Yeah, I don't think he
Bruce
would
Lee
either.
he read his book. He says he was a student first. You know what I mean? And that's what the whole journey of writing that book and studying those other styles is about.
Do you have the book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do? Do you have that?
No, I don't have the book. I read it at Barnes.
Yeah, I had it. I don't know where it is now, but I did have it.
Yeah, I read it at Barnes and Noble, and like the whole purpose behind that book is to say that he was still a student and still learning. That's what he enjoyed doing. He enjoyed going into a judo school and learning judo throws. He enjoyed going to the boxing ring and finding out his holes when it came to boxing. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, as soon as he dies, everyone puts this masterhood upon him. When it's like his whole thing was that he was still learning. He was still a student. You know.
Oh, everybody's still a student. Anybody who tells you they're a master and is not learning anymore is full of shit.
Yeah.
If you walk into a martial arts school and someone calls himself master, 75% of the time you should turn your ass around and run away.
That's right.
Don't give them $1.
Yep, that's right. Well, anyway,
if they tell you they've had X years of experience, that's fine because that's a fact. But,
that's
when
provable.
they start putting, if you have to call yourself a master, you're not a master.
Yeah. So anyway, I think my computer's screwing up again. I think so. It's it gets into one of these modes to where it wants to, you click a mouse and it kind of waits 5 or 10 seconds before it does anything. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but anyway, in addition to kind of, I guess you would say, unarmed combat or hand-to-hand combat or something like that without weapons. A lot of folks may not know this unless they've read the manga, but Alita is quite adept with weapons. I mean, particularly firearms. She's really good with those. Oh, yeah. And certainly she has that plasma weapon. She does not need that Damascus blade for that plasma weapon to work for her,
One thing I found interesting in the manga was there's actually a line. So there in the Japan arc, when she gets the revolver, she talks about how she's so familiar with it and she doesn't know why. Not that specific gun, but I'm guessing like guns in general. And then there's actually a line. I don't know if this is a translation error because I haven't read it in my actual manga. I've read it on the internet ones, but there's a line where she says, maybe in a past life I was a gun." I'm thinking that means more something like a soldier or something like that. But like a hired gun or something like that. Or maybe it literally translates to she was an actual firearm. I don't know. But I don't know. I just find that interesting that, in the manga, the manga is actually called Gun'em or Gunmu or Gun Dreams,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of gun stuff in there. And also, I did want to say that the martial arts in the manga are very interesting. They look like very Hapkido, Aikido-ish, a lot of using the opponent's energy against each other, a lot of like throws and stuff. Someone throws a punch and then you do the whole thing where you have your open palm and outstretched in front of them, kind of like the Wing Chun stuff. You see a little bit of the hand trapping or whatever it's called that they do, and then a lot of the Aikido kind of use their energy against them. A lot of that stuff in there. I find it fascinating what you see in the manga, to be honest with you. I really wish this franchise was animated.
Well, Bruce Lee used to kind of work out on those wood dummies, didn't he? I mean, it had the he'd work out with those things just for trapping and stuff like that, just to practice it.
That's a staple of Wing Chun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So,
and maybe other forms of kung fu. I don't know. I've just seen a lot of the Wing Chun guys using those.
Yeah. So anyway, Alita's quite she's quite adept with weapons. I mean, definitely very adept with guns. There's no doubt. You know, you don't get that idea in the movie. If all you've done is just seen the movie, Vladdy, if you're out there,
Is that true? Is that for real?
yes.
Because I found a profile today, right? I didn't know he had I don't know if it's actually him, but it's I will not read this or something like that. And it's like a bunch of
No, I
pictures
think
of the
he's
Alita
going to
manga.
read it. I think he'll read it eventually, you know, but we kid him a lot about it, you know. So,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny profile. It's like it's Vladdy's picture, but it's like I will not read this, and it's like pictures of the manga. Like he's saying that it's a whole profile of him basically saying he's not going to read the fucking manga. I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
no, I think he is, you know. One of the things about Alita, though, and this has nothing to do with weapons itself, but that picture on the left you see right there where she's holding that Gatling gun like that. I mean, I calculated what her strength was because that Gatling gun, Dan, it's a 50 caliber. You've probably heard a 50 caliber gun, haven't you?
Oh yeah,
yeah, I have too. You know, when I used to work in the DoD, you know, I mean, I wasn't in the military, but I did work a lot around some of the firing ranges and stuff like that. But that gun that she's holding is a 100 caliber gun. I actually, yes, it is. I measured.
So wait, hold on.
It's a
let me look. I'm going to look. Actually, I got to pull this up on the stream. How'd you measure that?
Well, I measured it by there was a gun on there called the Gal 19. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And
they put on planes and stuff.
Yeah, they put on planes and helicopters. Yeah, that kind of stuff, you know. And and I measured that. I got the dimensions on that one, you know, and kind of measured it and then compared it to the gun that she had, you know. And the Gal 19 is a lot smaller than that gun she's holding. I don't know what.
Really?
Yes, it is. I mean, I have a video on it. One day I'll pull it up and I'll show you how I was able to calculate or estimate what it is, you know. But another thing about that gun that she's holding, it actually has 4 barrels, and that Gal 19 only has 3 barrels. So that thing's probably got 5 or 6 times the firepower, at least, of that 50 caliber Gal 19. You know, so at least
that's
that
crazy.
Much.
Retarded gun. I mean, think about that. So a minigun, if you've ever seen a person fire a regular minigun, standing up, like not mounted.
Yes.
So the 5.56 round is really has no recoil. It's literally a 22, right? So that's what's in the AR-15. It's literally a 22 caliber round. So that's why AR-15s have almost no recoil. Is why women shoot them so much, so easily. Women and children shoot them so easily, right? You don't need a big old man to shoot that. And so you put that into a minigun. The minigun fires at between like 60 to 90 rounds per second.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That literally count to 1. You've been shot 60 times.
Yep, that's right.
So
that's right.
So because the fire rate is so high, it takes a round as tame as 5.56 and gives it a lot of fucking recoil. You know what I mean? That's a lot of energy coming out of that. Now, so it basically multiplies the recoil, basically.
Yeah.
And Alita, if she's firing a 100 caliber minigun, even with only 4 barrels, that's still an insane amount of strength that would be required.
Well, you know what else, Dan, too, is I actually estimated how much that gun weighed based on its size compared to the Gal 19, and I made the assumption that the density of the materials for the volume of the gun all was roughly the same, but I calculated that gun weighed 600 pounds because the Gal 19 weighs 139 pounds. So think about this, now we're getting off track a little bit here, but she was able to hold that gun with one hand and fire it for 2 seconds, without it moving at all. I mean, there was no kick to it or anything. She just fired it, and I was able to estimate that she could probably curl one repetition 800 pounds. I mean, that is ridiculously strong. That's what that is.
And then she just casually tosses it aside afterwards.
Yeah.
You passed the Taco Bell, David?
He's alive.
Passed the Taco Bell. Do they have Mexican food? Authentic Mexican food in Australia?
They actually do have a Taco Bell here.
But that's not authentic Mexican. I'm wondering what got to you.
I have no idea what got to me. I've been running for the past 36 hours.
He's
Run,
been
Forrest, run.
He's been on the
Authentic
throne.
Mexican.
He's been on the throne.
Run, Forrest.
It was all those damn pineapples, man. It's too acidic.
Forrest.
You can't do that shit to your body.
Yeah.
You gotta balance that out.
And of course, another thing, bringing it back to Alita, another thing that her training allows her, or that's kind of unique for her training. You know, granted, now she's a fictitious character. I mean, you know, but thinking about Alita, you know, as a person, say she was a real person, and she's in the military. There is no military on Earth right now that trains their soldiers to fight in zero gravity.
For Space Force.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Space Force maybe in the future, but not right now.
Gonna get Alita in Space Force.
But anyway, that's another kind of a approach or whatever that's kind of unique for Panzerkunst. You know, is they certainly learn all of the fighting skills that you would think in more earth-based karate and kung fu and Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that, certainly, or MMA.
Something that makes that unique is the fact that, especially striking styles mostly. So you're looking at boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. I don't know. I guess half of Wing Chun, a lot of MMA, just striking styles. A lot of the power is derived from your base in the ground. You know what I mean? That's why in Muay Thai you see them kicking each other's legs so much. I can tell you from personal experience that you get hit in those legs hard enough, right? It's very hard to put weight on that leg, and if you can't sit down on your shots, is what it's called in boxing, sitting down on your shots. If you can't sit down on your punches, it can take a lot of power away from your punches. So learning to fight in zero gravity is actually that's a really fucking cool idea when I heard about that. You know what I mean? I said, like you don't know how much punching and kicking power is derived from the ground itself. You know what I mean? You don't punch with your arm, you punch with your whole body, pushing down on the earth. And that's why I just think that's fascinating, which also kind of extends into Dragon Ball, right? They fight while they're flying, which Goku talks about being able to fight better on the ground than he does in the air. I don't know. I just think that stuff is fascinating right there.
Yeah. Well, it's also kind of like powerlifting when you're doing like bench press. What a lot of people don't realize is you use your legs when you do bench press. Mm-hmm. You do. I mean, it's kind of a, you know, I mean, it doesn't supply, you know, like 50% of the power, but you know, if you're short 10 pounds or something like that on something, those legs can help get you that, you know. And of course, you know, when you're doing deadlifts and squats, of course, the ground is definitely the thing on that one. So But anyway, that training in zero gravity, that is something that is unique to to Panzerkunst itself. Maxie or Angelus, did the Earth Defense Forces, their soldiers, they didn't, I don't know if they'd used Panzerkunst or not. They may have used something called space karate. I remember seeing something like that where Toji and those were using that stuff. But did they use a similar fighting style, those soldiers, to the soldiers?
I don't think it's mentioned.
I didn't remember seeing it. So anyway, that's something that's kind of unique to Panzerkunst itself. Come on, machine. There we go. So anyway, here's Alita's military service. I mean, it just put it in a nutshell. Certainly, she fought in the fall. You know, she fought there. And we saw from the movie she fought on the moon. You know, against the Earth Defense Forces there. She certainly was, you know, on that mission, you know, where Geldas tells her, you know, to destroy Zalem, you know, and that's after the.
Well, I think everybody was on that mission.
Yeah, they were.
It was an all-out attack.
Well, if you remember, though, there were like 12 floating cities, and 11 of them came down, but they never got Zalem down. So, you know, that was, I guess she was on the unit, I guess, or on the forces specifically assigned to destroy Zalem, you know, so. And then, of course, I guess in Volume 2 of the Mars Chronicles, you know, it makes mention of, you know, of those Necro soldiers, you know, and she was an adult when she fought in volume 2, you know. So, but she did that, and she also was in a special forces group called the Commer Group, you know, which they kind of did. I might have been covert, I guess, a lot of it. And then, they had special techniques there. One of them was to commit suicide if you got captured or if the mission failed so nobody could get the information, you know, but although certainly she never committed suicide. So any thoughts about, I got Todd there. That's supposed to be Alita. I was doing a copy and paste. That's supposed to say Alita's military service. So, excuse that. That's not Todd. Todd's the guy that's in Soldier. So, yeah, I blew it on that one. I just did a copy and paste.
If you had Gary, it would have been more accurate.
Yeah, it would have been. Although Gary never fought in any wars or anything. And
Gary
is lying.
And no, right, Dan, I was not a spook when I was in DOD.
He is lying to us right now. I'm telling you. He is the reason why Castro's dead right now. He was sent over there. He did it himself.
Yeah.
He killed Saddam. Right. He found Saddam and killed him. Gary's actually the Delta Force dog that took out was it Osama or that
Osama bin Laden? Yeah, no, that's not me. So anyway, this is Sergeant Todd. Now this is from the movie Soldier. Now, this guy right here is an elite soldier. I mean, obviously he's human, and you can see he's well built. You know, I mean, you can't see anything below, his waist, too much, but you can judge by looking at his guns, that he's, he's got some strength to him, and, he fought in many battles that, that we're going to be talking about. And, look at this, these windows pop up saying, "Hey, driver support, do you want any new drivers?" While I was doing that. So anyway, he is definitely a sergeant, and in some ways he's kind of like Alita with his unit, like Alita was with her unit. Now he was, I guess you would say, they would call him in the unit, they would call him top. I don't know, you've probably heard that term, I guess, Dan. They usually call the top enlisted guy, they call him top, is basically it. So he's that, so he is the ranking enlisted guy. But now his commander is a captain. So he's, I couldn't establish whether he was in the Army or if he's in the Marines. I can't tell, My sense is he's in the Army, but they don't bring that up in the movie itself. So anyway, he's quite good at what he does, and basically, he goes through some pretty rigorous training himself. Some of it very realistic, in terms of what they use, live fire rounds and stuff like that, which they do a lot in the military anyway. They use live ammunition, but he went through boot camp like every other soldier does, and he probably got some specialized training since he was in kind of I wouldn't say they were like special forces, but they were an elite fighting group. They were kind of as they would say, the tip of the spear, in some cases, so, but, very much like Alita in that, he's good at what he does. He can fight. He's good at hand-to-hand fighting. He's good with weapons, and he is very strong. You see, he's climbing up that chain, with pretty much, just him climbing. Now, what's interesting about this, the actor that played Todd, of course, is Kurt Russell. And he is one of my inspirations for even getting into weightlifting, or at least keeping me in it. When I saw that movie, and saw how well built he was and all that stuff, I said, well, maybe I'll just stay doing weightlifting for a while longer. Not that I was ever thinking of getting out, but he was definitely trained for this. Now, one of the interesting things about the movie is I think during the first week of shooting, he actually broke his ankle like somehow, and I don't know how he did it. So that, you know, they had to give him like a week or two off, and then when he came back, you know, they had him doing a lot of scenes that didn't require any running or any kind of jumping or any of that kind of stuff, you know. So they gradually worked him into it. And there's one scene where he's actually racing one of these other super soldiers, and they shot that at the end of the movie, whereas in the movie it's close to the beginning. So, you know, which is not unusual for movies. You know, they do tend to shoot them out of sequence a lot of times like that. So, and he's also quite good with weapons. You know, he used several different kinds of weapons in the movie. You know, he's got a rocket launcher there on the right, and of course he's got a automatic weapon on the left there, and plus he used I guess he was good with, he used a pistol, I think, in that movie, and a rifle. So I mean he used several different kind of weapons, you know, and he seemed to, in the movie, when you look at it, if you say, well, he's a real soldier, you know, if you looked at it from that perspective, then you would, you know, the way he was handling those weapons, the way he was loading them up and all, because he had to go and fight in the movie. He had to fight like a platoon of these super soldiers by himself, you know. And, you know, I guess it's a pretty old movie. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, I guess. But he ended up killing every single one of them because he's quite good. He's got a lot of experience, you know, at fighting. And, you know, he knows deception, and he knows, you know, how to evade, and he's a good shot, and the whole 9 yards.
Isn't there an old saying, old age and treachery will overcome youth and enthusiasm any day?
Well, I'd like to think that. So anyway, what's interesting about this is he certainly, as a, you know, once again, that, you know, he's a fictitious soldier, but, you know, and Ash Blackwind brings this up. I know, Ash, you can get on the stream here if you want, you know, because Ash, I think this is one of his favorite movies, if not, you know, really close to Alita anyway.
You should really be on here.
Yeah, he got excited. He had the first post on the chat, you know, from about 3 or 4 days ago. So, but anyway, Todd is the best in his unit, you know, the very best soldier. So you can see there from his record that he fought in this battle called the Tannhauser Gate. Now, and the other one, the second one there, the Shoulder of Orion, those are actually referenced in the movie Blade Runner. And in a way, they called that, you know, soldier, they called it like they don't call it a sequel, but it's like a spin-off type sequel, you know, where it was, you know, basically in the same timeline, in the same universe, and that kind of thing. So, and they mentioned Tannhauser Gate in, you know, in Blade Runner as, you know, as they do the Shoulder of Orion. He also fought in a bunch of different campaigns. You can see 3 of them right there in which he got citations. And in his case, he actually got 10 citations and medals for bravery in battle. So, I mean, this guy is a battle-hardened, you know, experienced guy, you know, veteran. You know, he knows how to wage war. In that regard, he's kind of like Alita, although Alita doesn't have any citations or any kind of that I'm aware of. Max, you or Angelus or Den Mike can correct me. I don't remember seeing anything like that in the Mars Chronicles, particularly in that volume 2. But she may have. I'm not sure. You know, but she is very good at war. You know, as a matter of fact, I think in the novelization, Alita said the one thing I'm better at motorball than I am is war. I'm better at war than I am at motorball. You know, something like that. When she was, you know, holding her sword up to Zalem. You know, so. But this guy Todd is definitely like that. He's just a very experienced, very adept at fighting, and the fact that he could take out a whole platoon of super soldiers, you know, kind of speaks highly to his ability as a soldier itself, you know. And there's one scene in Soldier where he's loading up his weapons and he's getting ready to go out and fight them, you know. And he already killed a bunch of them before that, but he's getting ready to go fight them. And they were driving 2 armored personnel vehicles to attack this village that he was on. He was staying in on this planet. And he took out both of the APCs and he killed those guys. But basically, you know, this guy, you know, he just basically killed all of them. And he says to this to Connie Nielsen, who was also in the movie, you know, she played in the Justice League as the Amazon, you know, Diana's mother. But anyway, she asked him, you know, you're going to fight all these guys by yourself, et cetera, et cetera. What are you going to do? And he says, I'm going to kill them all. And that's what he did. So really, really, really heady stuff, you know. And I watched this movie myself here about 2 weeks ago, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, just like the first time I ever watched it, you know.
I've got to say, I found it a little bit slow the first time I watched it, but I have a much greater appreciation for it now.
Yeah, it is a little slow because they have a lot of that at the beginning because they have a lot of that training stuff in it, you know, where he races.
It's not even that. It's just that it's one of those movies that there's a lot of non-verbal storytelling because he's a man of few words, because he's just not, he doesn't talk much because he's just too busy fighting.
Yeah.
I don't do the talkie, I do the killy, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I did a little research on the movie, and he only had like 104 words of dialogue, you know, in the whole movie. So that is just next to none, you know. So
well, if they were paying him by the word, he got ripped off.
Yeah. Now that movie didn't do that well. I think the budget on that movie was like $15 million, but it only made like $6 million. So I mean, it didn't do too well, you know, which I find kind of interesting because I enjoyed it, you know. But of course, that's me. You know, anything with action in it, I'm going to enjoy it. So, you know.
Well, it was well acted, as I remember.
Yeah, well,
since I saw it.
It had some good people in it. You know, it had Gary Busey in it. Now, you know, he sometimes he can be a little crazy, but he did a good job on his part too. You know, he played the captain, you know, the Captain Church, who was Todd's commanding officer, you know, so, and he was pretty good at that, you know. And it had Jason Isaacs in it, you know, who played, you know, kind of one of Todd's antagonists. But you can see there that old Todd, man, if granted fictitious soldier, but if you had a soldier that had these kind of credentials right here, you know, that would be a soldier you'd definitely want in your army, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, it was stupid that they decided to throw him away, like quite literally throw him on the junk pile.
Oh yeah,
which as Ash mentioned is a very big similarity to Alita ending up in the trash pile.
Yeah. I got a slide coming up on the similarities. You know,
I don't know if you mentioned it, but the planet that he ends up on is actually a trash planet.
Yep.
Which, to me, if a planet's got a breathable atmosphere, it's a waste to be dumping trash on it. But that's what they did.
Yeah. That's exactly what they did. So, but anyway, there's, you know, both Alita and Todd had, you know, they basically had 2 antagonists. Both of them did, you know, like for Alita, you know, Grishka was probably her most threatening, you know, antagonist, at least what was around her. Now, as it turned out, Nova's a lot more threatening, but, you know, you didn't get that sense through most of the movie. But this guy, Kane 607, you see on the right, he's played by Jason Scott Lee. And he buffed up for this role too. You know, Jason Scott Lee, Dan, you probably remember, he played Bruce Lee in what's that movie, the Dragon or something like that. He played
not Enter the Dragon. It's just called the Dragon. Yeah,
the Dragon. Yeah, he played Bruce Lee, and he was a similar build, you know, to Bruce Lee. But in this movie, he bulked up for this thing, boy. He looked pretty good, you know. I mean, he was, you know, like he'd been lifting and stuff like that. But he's one of the super soldiers, you know, that can run. I think he ran 15 miles in 40 minutes or something like that. Some kind of ridiculous thing like that, you know.
Man, if
So
I could do that shit, I'd be fucking rich.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, man. I'd be playing every sport in the fucking world. I would be working for the government.
yeah. And he's also Kane 607 is also very adept with weapons, just like Todd is. Now the difference is here with him is that he doesn't have all that experience that Todd has. He's really good at fighting without weapons, so he knows martial arts very well. And he, like I say, he's good with weapons and all, but he doesn't have all that wartime experience, so I think that's one of the things that was going against him, so but still a very good soldier, and basically Todd took out like a whole platoon of these guys like Kane 607. I mean, he killed every single one of them, so I mean, just one guy by himself, so and Grishka, of course, we know him. He's very big, and if you just looked at him versus Alita, just based on size, and there's an old saying we have down south here: it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. And that's kind of what when you look at Alita fighting Grishka, that's kind of what you come away with, because Alita, especially in that fight in the alley, little bitty Alita, and this big hulking guy that's 8 or 9 feet tall, and she's cleaves his arm off and then, cracks a lot of his innards, with that rocket hammer, and he's backing away after that, and it was funny watching her stalk him like, I'm going to get you, like that, little bitty girl, but, yeah, I mean, he's also, you would think, would be superior. Now, where the likeness is here, the similarity is that even though Grishka, he in the novelization, he's a motorball star. At one time was a serious contender for final champion, but and certainly he was. At that point he was, like, I guess you could say he was an athlete, but Alita, even though she's small, she has experience in war, in fighting. And I got the distinct feeling watching the movie, even the first time, that she had the advantage over him on experience, and the same is true of this Kane 607 on the right fighting Todd. Kane 607 is superior to him in terms of strength and speed and stuff like that, but he doesn't have the experience, so, and that's one reason I think Todd was able to beat Kane 607. So, this is interesting. Ash Blackwin says he don't remember seeing Todd 607 blink. I don't. Now that you mention it, I don't think I don't remember seeing that either. One of the things that does happen to to Kane 607 when he's fighting Todd is that they were doing like a comparison between the old soldiers and the new, and Todd was fighting Kane 607, Todd and 3 other soldiers, and of course Kane 607 kills the 3 other soldiers and he injures Todd. But one of the things Todd did to him, which is very similar to what Alita did to Grishka in the first fight, was, Todd actually put out one of his eyes, Kane 607's eyes, by just kind of raking his hand over his right eye, I think, or it might have been his left eye, I can't remember. So now he can't, he can't see out of that eye, and he has no depth perception. Well, if you remember, Alita actually took Grishka's arm off fighting him the first time. So I mean, it's kind of some similarity there, that even though they both lost, or of course in the case of Alita, she won her first fight with Grishka, but she lost the second one. But even there, she rams her hand in his eye. So it's kind of similar in that way, that even though she loses, particularly that second fight, she still gets one hell of a shot in on him, just like Todd did on Kane 607. So, and then of course here's the more dangerous antagonist that you don't really get the idea about that until later in the movie. Now for Alita, of course, it's going to be Nova. Nova's, he's kind of the mastermind. He's he's for all intents and purposes, he's immortal, and he is He's going to be a tough nut to crack in the sequel. Yes, we are going to get a sequel, folks. And this guy on the right, Colonel Meekum, he's kind of the commanding officer of all of the super soldiers, and he's trained them. He's kind of overseen the program to get their DNA altered to make them stronger, faster. Faster reflexes, better soldiers overall. So, but that is also Todd's in the final analysis after he kills Kane 607. Colonel Meekum, is now his chief antagonist, and kind of the scene at the end where Todd comes face to face with this guy, and this guy sees Todd, he pisses in his pants. I love it. So anyway, because Todd, is pretty badass, but these are the two guys that are kind of behind the original antagonists for both of Todd and Alita. Of course, there's once Meekum is out of the picture, he gets killed. He's on the planet and he gets blown up. Nova, he gets killed, but he comes back, and he gets killed again. He comes back. So he's got that that Methuselahization going for him. But I also think he's able to rebuild himself. If I'm not.
Yeah, he's got more than Methuselahization. He's got he's got a nanite cloud reconstruction system set up.
Yeah,
and cloud he backs his memories up to the cloud. So
yeah. Kind of like we do.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah. So anyway, Alita actually does kill Nova, doesn't she? I can't remember what version of the manga it's in, but she kills him
several times.
Yeah, and he comes back. So it's like she looks at him and said, "What the hell? I killed him." It's funny. So, but anyway, that's Alita and Todd's two, I guess, higher level antagonists. I guess the antagonist behind the antagonist type thing. Certainly in the manga and in the novelization, Nova, kind of rebuilds Grishka and he's, well, in novelization anyway, but rebuilds Grishka, makes him a motorball champion, or at least close. And then he, keeps him going and that kind of stuff, rescues him from the sewers and that kind of thing. And of course, with Colonel Meekum, he's a guy that, certainly, kind of reconstructed the DNA of all of the super soldiers, including Kane 607. And, he's kind of brains behind that outfit too, So there's some similarities there, actually. Okay, Ash Blackwind, that's good. Ash, you ought to come on here. You know a lot about this movie, Soldier.
Totes. Yeah, well, yeah, have you dropped him the link? I haven't seen it in the chat.
A couple of times I did. Yeah, let me go ahead and do it again just in case he wants to come on.
Come on, Ash. Come on. You've got the knowledge.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, give it a shot. You only live once. Make Alita proud. Make Todd proud. Come on, get in here.
Yep. There it is. Well, if you want to, Ash, we're not gonna hornswoggle you into it, as they would say. So there's the link. So anyway, in terms of the how they're, some of the similarities, now it says differences and similarities. Some of the similarities are more subtle than others, but certainly the difference between Alita and Todd, Alita is a TR, human. That's about as different as you can get, almost, unless she's an alien. Actually, I guess she is an alien, isn't she? She's born on Mars. So anyway, in terms of rank, in that regard, within their units, they're similar. In terms of their standing within their units. They both have ID numbers. Certainly, Alita's got that 99 going for her. And then, of course, Todd's ID number is 3465. So they're both second in command, or at least, and Maxie, you or Angelus could probably, maybe lend some more on this one. But I just got the idea that Alita was kind of right behind Gelda in that squad or that platoon that was going up the supply tube, I don't have any more.
It does seem like Alita had sort of what's the term I'm looking for? Basically shown herself to have potential and was on the fast track at the very least, based on the novelization.
Yeah.
The fact that she was trained specifically by Gilda as well, as opposed to a basic drill instructor.
Yeah, that's right. Because even in the zero gravity, that zero gravity unit, she was working out at least at one time with Gilda, and the other berserkers were working out with somebody else. So Gilda was definitely the tip top, of the unit. So, but anyway, another similarity, of course, is Alita was dumped into the scrapyard, from Zalem. And Todd was dumped onto this planet called, Max mentioned it a while ago, Arcadia 234, which was a planet in which it was like a big trash can. They just, like a waste dump. They'd send, some kind of spaceship to the waste dump. It had a whole bunch of just garbage in it, and waste, and they would, dump it. And to give you an idea about how big these spaceships were, there was one scene in the movie Soldier where an entire aircraft carrier was on its side on the planet. So that garbage scow had to be huge to be able to lift an entire aircraft carrier, And then, of course, when did this happen? Well, for Alita, when she was in the military, and it depends on what version. If you're looking at the manga, if you're looking at the movie, but in the movie, given the fact that the movie was 2563, and then, of course, it was like 300 years after the fall. And, of course, Alita had to do a lot of stuff before that. It's probably around 2261. And I remember there's a video that Kranz actually did a voiceover on about Alita, what she, about, the Mars Chronicles video. It's a short that's really interesting, and it had 2261 on it. So, I'll take that as gospel, as canon, as they would say. And then with Todd, the year of his military service in the movie was 2036. So now I have my sincere doubts that we're going to be going to other planets and other solar systems in 15 years. I don't think we'll be shipping humans to, say, Alpha Centauri in 16.
I've always thought that like some of these 90s and 80s movies are a little bit short-sighted. You know what I mean? And some of these are like, oh yeah, in 2015 we're gonna have fucking hoverboards, and I'm like, shit.
They had high hopes. Let's just say that.
Well, they don't have a real. I don't want to say the word appreciation, but they don't have a thorough understanding of the distances between stars. It's not like just flying to Mars,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mars is like it's not even a stone's throw. I mean, really, when even the closest
just leaving the solar system is a stupidly, well, I guess the best way to put it was astronomical task.
Yes, exactly.
360 million kilometers.
Unless you have some sort of major breakthrough in like spacefold technology or something, yeah, it's astronomically hard to do. But the whole thing is, if it was garbage from any other system, why wouldn't you just shoot it into the sun? It's just just have a sun gun, and just, if you're going to take it out of the gravity well somehow, that's a whole nother thing. But if you've got all this junk and you want to get rid of it, just fire it at the sun. The sun will go nom nom nom, job done.
Yeah.
Why pollute the whole planet with it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have a story then, Maxie.
I know. It just seems a bit. I mean, look, if it was a moon, if it was a moon that had been sort of terraformed and something had happened and was no longer viable, that would make a whole lot more sense. Say like a moon of Jupiter or something.
Well, it'd make more sense to me to have like a remotely piloted disposable spaceship with trash on it that you pilot to the sun. and it gets into the sun's gravity, when it gets where it's beyond the point of no return, you don't have to pilot it anymore. It'll just eventually go into the sun. And then, of course, the intense heat, of once you get below the chromosphere, it's like millions of degrees. It's going to vaporize. It's going to. Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, it's the ultimate recycling. All of this, energy that we use has come originally from the sun.
Yes.
Listen, I think that in the future we should just send all of our trash to Australia, because everyone's going to leave there eventually. They're all going to be killed by kangaroos and lightning and fucking huntsman spiders and shit.
Kangaroos and lightning.
It's a giant empty land.
Don't forget those. Don't forget those big damn spiders either. Some of those damn.
Or in Angelus's case, pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
Just fucking pineapples. That's it. Just the pineapples itself. The pineapples in Australia are poisonous. We found this out now, by the way. You'll never win another debate about pineapple pizza again, because we see how fucked up you are right now.
Yeah.
I'm actually considering getting a slice because I've moved on to solid foods now.
So your stomach now
like an
is
addiction.
recuperated enough, huh, Angelus?
So in this movie, they're in around Alpha Centauri, like they've mastered interstellar travel and stuff.
Yeah, it's not Alpha Centauri. They don't really say what star it was. Like, for instance, the movie Avatar, that is Alpha Centauri. Pandora is a planet that's out orbiting Alpha Centauri, but they don't go into that in this movie. All we know is
another planet.
Yeah, it's just called Arcadia 234. So
I like that in stories though, because sometimes stories like to try to get too technical, and then that makes it fucking fall apart. Just say it's another fucking planet. There you go.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do as much explaining, do you? If you do that. Yeah.
That's actually going to be part of that video I thought about. I'm thinking about making the Goku and Alita one.
Oh, that's going to be a great video. That is going to be a great
some
video.
some of the brilliance of simplicity in writing. Because I've heard some people try to pick apart the Alita manga, and it's fine. These are valid complaints, but sometimes the simplicity of a story lends itself better, because then the audience can fill in a lot of things themselves, which is fucking fun. And the author doesn't have to tell you every detail of the entire world. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've never seen this movie. I know who Kurt Russell is. I used to have an instructor that looked dead on like Kurt Russell, but I'd never seen this movie Soldier. But go ahead.
I suggest I recommend it. Certainly I don't like it as good as I like it. Obviously, but it's a good movie. To me, it was entertaining. I saw it, I think, maybe 3 times, maybe something like that. Unlike Alita, which I've seen over 30 times. So, and I'm probably
not get in a pissing contest with Dennis or Zinsui, the Germans.
Oh, no, I don't intend to.
They'll wreck you on that.
Oh, these people have seen that thing 100 times. Yeah, I don't.
Before it left theaters. They got the tickets to prove it.
Yeah, I'm a mere babe when it comes out, and I've only seen it in the movie once. So in the theater rather. And then, of course, the last and biggest difference is their ages.
Wait, isn't it twice?
Say again.
Didn't you watch it on release?
No, I think Gary got to it later than everyone.
Oh, I didn't get to it till last year, March of last year, when I was on a business trip. And the only reason is,
that's what I'm saying. You still saw it in March, but then you saw it at the re-release as well.
No, I saw it in March in a hotel room. I was on a business trip, and I'd been to Dallas, Texas a bunch of times. There was nothing that I hadn't seen 100 times, so, and I'd seen the Alita trailers, and they just really didn't do much for me, but I saw it come on. I was on HBO, I was flicking through, and I just happened to hit it just as it was coming on, And I said, well, I think I'll give this a chance. I think I'll watch it.
I'm starting to think that the Disney murder affected trailers too, because the same thing happened with The Empty Man. Like, the marketing, Disney was like, all right, man, listen, guys, we're about to fucking buy your company, so we're just going to send some trailer guys to sabotage your fucking trailers so no one wants to see your movies in theaters. Because I've heard that so much about specifically those 2 movies right there that were released on the cusp of the merger.
Yeah, but anyway, with Alita though, I just happened to catch it. It was just coming on. The Fox logo thing came on, and I didn't know what it was. And then, of course, when it came up 26th Century, and then I saw, I said, oh, this is Alita Battle Angel. It kind of hit the info button. I said, I'll give it a shot. I'm on, because I got nothing better to do. So anyway, and I fell in love with it. But that was just watching on TV. On a 55-inch TV in the hotel room. It wasn't even 55 inches now that I think about it. And I fell in love with it, and I watched it again 2 days later. In the way, because oh God, is it coming on? Is it coming on? So anyway, I kind of watched it twice there in Dallas, but I've only seen it in the theaters once. So, and then of course I made that video.
I'm definitely not in the hundreds, but I've seen it in theaters a few times. It was great. I didn't see it in 3D though, so that's where I lose.
Oh my God, I saw it in 3D. I went to Do Not Stand By had a he has a 3D projector, and he set to set up everything outside and all that, which was it was tough because it was sprinkling rain a little bit and the wind was blowing. It blew down the screen like 3 or 4 times. Had to put it back up, but we didn't care. We watched it. Man, that damn 3D knocked my head off.
What gets me about that? The reason why I didn't see it in 3D is because I hated 3D at the time, because I just generally don't like watching movies in 3D. I always opted for 2D, and then by the time I heard that Alita's 3D was actually special and different, and it would stop showing in 3D. I didn't see any more showings in 3D, so.
Yeah, I'm on the hunt down now for a 3D player. So I might be able to get one on eBay. Maybe we'll see, but I got to get some 3D now, because that thing knocked my head off, man. So.
My dad has a 3D TV. I just wonder how well it works.
How old is it, Dan?
Maybe like 5 years or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think they quit making them. I think. You can get projectors, I think, but I think they quit making the TVs. Maxie, you got a 3D TV, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The last year that they made them was 2016, and it was the year that the 4K ones were coming in. I actually managed to snag a 4K 3D TV with HDR, nice. So it's got, and it's a curved one. It's an LG. I got that for my 50th. It had been used like 3 times and was still in the box. So. I was pretty happy with that. But I just started watching a bit of anime on it the other day. My God, it's crisp. It's actually better than the more modern TVs we've got in the house. I'm just really so happy with it. And it's great. I've actually got a collection of 3D movies here that I've been sort of vacuuming up off of Amazon and places when they have sales. Just so I've got some 3D movies to watch, and I've got some I haven't cracked yet. So.
I've seen Alita 2 times on my Oculus, because you just get it up on. Oh God Almighty, that's good. That's like seeing it in the theater, really. I mean, and you can curve the screen and all that stuff. It's great, So that's almost like seeing it in the movies, But one last difference and similarities there between Alita and Todd. Of course, Alita's a teenager. And in the fall, she's 17 years old. At least that's what kind of that in her late teens, I guess. And Todd's he's an old grizzled veteran of 40. So his son was actually in that movie too. The one that played the new Captain America, on the Falcon and Winter Soldier. They had he was actually in this movie too. He was a little boy, but he. One other similarity I didn't put there was that in the movie itself, the military in the movie Soldier, they get the babies, and they get them in the military, and they get them from cradle on. And then, of course, that's kind of similar to Alita. Now, it depends on what version, if she's the Alita from, I don't want to spoil it, but the volume 6 of the Mars Chronicle, it's kind of a kind of got my attention. I'm not going to say any more about that, but
that's
you know,
similar to Halo. Because in Halo, with
Yeah.
the original group of Spartans, they get them when they're between like 6 and 9 years old. And for the next group of Spartans after that, they get them as orphans. So
Yeah.
I kind of like, I really do like the idea of the cyborg super soldier who is raised in basically as a Navy SEAL. I love those ideas. So
Yeah, well, the difference is not. Once again, I highly encourage everybody to read the Mars Chronicles, because when you get to that volume 6, it's like, and you see this, you go, "Holy shit!" That was my reaction, to the whole thing. I mean, it is just a dead level surprise, But it's kind of like she's a baby, and they get her when she's very, very young. Now, there's that one version of the story where she gets put in a cyborg body when she's 3 years old, but it's different than the Mars Chronicles. But I'm not going to go any further than that because I'll spoil it, and I want folks to read it, So anyway, but there. Go ahead, Angelus.
I was just saying, looking at you, Vladdy.
Oh yeah. Is Vladdy even on there? I'm not sure.
I saw him type earlier on, I think. I don't know if he's still here. At least I could have sworn that I saw him.
Yeah, I don't see him in the chat anywhere.
Earlier on. He basically came up saying hello.
Yeah. Because the folks in England, it's pretty late, for them. So.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, England or Britain or whatever you want to call them. So anyway, So anyway, guys, that's pretty much what I have on the two, on the differences and similarities, and they are very, very similar in a lot of ways. They both, they're both in the military. They both are dumped in a trash bin, basically. They're both good at war. Certainly one's a cyborg and the other one isn't, but and they both have long odds to fight against, and of course they do, and they both have a lot of experience in war. So anyway, that's kind of what I got. Now, Dan, you haven't seen Soldier, right? You said you hadn't.
no, I haven't.
Yeah, but Angelus, have you seen Soldier?
No.
It's worth a watch. I've seen it. Oh, yeah. I saw it in cinemas.
Yeah,
I'm going to find some way to stream it. Actually, I wonder.
If you can get to YouTube, they have movies, Soldier, just type in Soldier 1998, I think is when it actually came out. I think was when it was released, I think. So, and then you can buy it, I actually have it on VCR, on videotape. Although I didn't watch it on videotape here a couple of weeks ago. I streamed it. So, yeah, the picture quality of tape is not that great. So I got to where I can't watch it too much anymore. So. So, Maxie, can you think of anything of the differences or the similarities in the two movies that?
Well, the obvious one is trash pile, and military training above all else. So, like, Alita was a child soldier, whereas was Todd genetically engineered for war?
No,
or he was just trained from a young age.
Well, he was a child soldier too, but no, he wasn't genetically engineered. They just got him. What they did is they picked what they thought were the strongest babies, and trained them. Kind of like what Den was saying they do with the Spartans. How the Spartans discard any children that are not, that seem to be deformed or, not quite,
The ancient Spartans would discard misshapen or children that seem to have disabilities. The Spartans in for Halo, They just basically had access to their actual genetic codes, so they would find the children who have the most potential to be the smartest, the strongest, the fastest. And the same thing in Dragon Ball too. That's why Goku was discarded. He was deemed to have a low power level as a baby, so he was discarded to Earth basically as an outcast. And if he could, just bring the Earth under his control by the time he's an adult, then he'd be brought back into the fold as an adult.
Yeah,
so
but
it's all
Raditz,
kind of the same thing. Space Spartans and stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Raditz wanted to try to get him to convert him back, though, didn't he? At least he did in those three that we saw the other night, right?
Yeah, and there's a reason for that, which we'll see later on.
Okay.
A bigger baddie, but yeah, it's kind of all the same thing. I just really love the idea of these kind of warrior cultures where children. I know it's very immoral to put children through military training and discard children that you think are weaker, but I don't know. I just like that idea for a story. I just find it fascinating. I guess the ancient Spartans have inspired everything from Dragon Ball to Alita and Halo. You know what I mean? And also this film as well.
Yeah, there's a scene in Soldier where Todd, he's a little boy, and he gets into a little tip, I guess, with one of his classmates, and he kind of gets him on the ground, and Todd just pounds him, and the teachers are just watching him just to see, is he superior?
That's actually literally a scene in Halo. That's literally a scene. So I didn't know how much Halo might have taken from this movie. So Master Chief, when he's 14, he's lifting. So when he's 14, he's like already a giant grown man. He's like 6'4" and fucking huge, because genetics and the fact that he's cybernetically enhanced. And these special operations Marines, he's lifting weights. And these special operations Marines, they really don't like the Spartans because they were the tip of the spear before. Now the Spartans are kind of taking over for them. Everyone thinks the Spartans are the best now. And so they kind of start like making fun of him and like, ribbing him because he's a child. And this is right after his augmentations, because the augmentations, the cybernetic augmentations actually killed like up to like a third of the Spartan candidates. And he's still like, healing from it. So he's like not in the best mood. You know what I mean? Like everything down the way his neurological system works, it's just all fucked up. And so he's just like not doing too well. And so the special operations Marines come in, start fucking with him while he's lifting weights. And he ends up getting in a fist fight with them and kills them. Like one of them, he punches one time in the face and kills them. And, the powers that be, the officers and Dr. Halsey and stuff, they're just watching it like, so he's not in trouble. They're like, oh, wow, he's like, doing really well against these fucking enhanced Marines here. And in the Fall of Reach movie, one of the lines is, Chief Mendez is like, what the hell is he doing? He's killing my Marines. And Dr. Halsey replies, he's doing what we trained him to do. And
he's winning. It's kind of like the movie Soldier, where Todd, when he was like, I think in that movie, he was like 8 years old or something. He beats on this other kid that's 8 years old, and the teachers just watch him because they wanted to see how well he would do what he was doing, and they didn't try to break up the fight or anything. They just watched him, and he was in class, So And I think that's based in kind of real Spartan lore, because Spartans were trained to do what we had called delinquent shit when they were children, when they were in the, I guess it's called the Agoge. Like they were trained to like do shit like steal and stuff like that, right? And if they would get caught, they would get severe corporal punishment, like beatings, whippings and stuff. And they didn't get whipped because they were stealing or fighting. They got whipped because they got caught. And you're trained as a soldier to not get caught. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, I'm like, the fighting and stuff. I don't know if you've watched the movie 300. You probably have. Yes, I have.
See Leonidas as a child beating up on other children and stuff like that. And the teachers just watch, because you're trained to wrestle and box and pancration, all that shit that you hear about from ancient Greece. You're trained to do all that shit, from a child. You know what I mean? So that's
they also trained them. They trained them to kill those slaves too, didn't they? And not get caught. Yeah.
Yeah. To kill slaves and rob from them, steal from them, all that shit. Yeah. And I don't know. I think that stuff is fascinating. It's wrong. It's immoral. Not saying I condone it. I'm not going to teach my kid to steal and kill.
Yeah.
But if he does, I might just give him a hot no play.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess in a very real way, probably, I kind of like that thought you had, Maxie, about, Soldier probably maybe got some of the some of their ideas from Alita. That's very possible, because Alita came out like 6 or 8 years before Soldier did. So
yeah, it's a possibility. It's also just, like a lot of these things are fairly lead one thing from another. So
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if people had the same sort of thought processes in that sort of thing. I mean, it's different enough. Like, there's no cyborgs. There's I mean, the whole situation is different. It's on another planet, another star system, or what have you. So I think it's it's well different enough that it could just be a passing similarity.
Yeah.
That's the writer side of me kicking in and saying, oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
What do they say? There's like 7 stories and just different permutations of that.
Yeah, seven basic story types. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about Soldier, though, the super soldiers they had in there, the ones that were genetically enhanced, they're not cyborgs, but they are definitely superhuman. That one guy, he raced that one guy that ran 15 miles in 40 minutes. I mean, holy crap. That is just blazing fast, and I guess he beat Todd by about, Todd was fast too. He ran that 15 miles in an hour. So that's pretty close to marathon champion speed, So
that's a little bit past marathon champion speed, I think.
Yeah, well, it's not quite. Yeah, you're right. But
I think
for a soldier to run 15 miles in an hour, though, that's pretty damn good right there, I think. I guess some Army Rangers could do it, maybe some SEALs, could do that.
I don't know, because the Army Ranger standard is 5 miles in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
5 miles in 40 minutes. That's the base standard there.
Okay, then Todd is 3 times faster than the Army Ranger. So
almost no one runs more than Army Rangers. Maybe SEALs in training, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess I got a buddy of mine I used to lift weights with up here in the Appalachian Mountains. They made him when he joined the Marines, and he said they did a lot of running. They just what they do, they run and run some more, and then when they get tired, then they run some more. So
running, people would be surprised in how being good at running is like being able to see for the first time when it comes to doing physical activity. It's like not running and trying to do a lot of things is like trying to learn how to read while blind. And then once you start running, it's like opening your eyes and then trying to learn how to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's the fastest marathon time in the world is like 2 hours. So that's 26.2
2 hours, 1 minute.
2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 hours, 1 minute and something. So
15 miles in an hour.
That's blazing.
That's way fast. Yeah, that
is blazing.
I'm not the greatest at math, but that's pretty fucking fast.
Isn't that like sprinting the whole way?
Not for this guy. It's not sprinting for him. It's sprinting for us. Yeah. He looks like he's just at like a calm jog when you watch him. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like he's sprinting. You know,
the Kenyans, yeah, God Almighty.
Like when I'm on a very light jog, my wife is sprinting. You know what I mean? It's just different body types and fitness levels. So for him, no, he's not sprinting. I don't want to see him sprint. That might light the atmosphere on fire. You know what I mean?
Well, Dan, I think if you watch Soldier, I think you would like it. I think because it's got a lot of that, a lot of that oorah, in it.
Maybe. I like the idea of running 15 miles in 40 minutes. It just sounds ridiculous, and I don't know. It sounds fun.
And the action scenes in it are real good, especially the fight at the end. When he fights all those super soldiers. That's. I think you'd get a kick out of it.
Well, considering you beat them all, did they really count as super?
Well, yeah. Well, the difference was
duper. Okay, Max, they're super and he's super duper.
The difference was he had experience at war and they didn't. So they probably were highly trained and they certainly were genetically enhanced, but they never fought in any kind of war. As a matter of fact, when when they fought, one of the reasons they went to that trash planet was because that Colonel Meekum wanted to get them training. He wanted them to kind of go through that, and because they'd never done that. But Todd had been in, all of those different, battles that he's been in. He's, been in, God Almighty. Well, like I say, he's got 10 different, 10 medals for citation, or 10 citations and medals for, his bravery in combat. I mean, that's that right there. That's like the baddest of the bad, And he probably, if in today's army, if he did all what he's doing there, he'd probably got the Congressional Medal of Honor, probably, so, So, you get a guy that's got a CMH, so he's going to be pretty tough, and that's kind of like Todd, it's like these guys, they had that training, but they had no practical experience. So anyway.
I like his name too, just like fucking Todd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's his last name, obviously. Todd,
Just Todd.
Yeah. Todd 365 or something. 3465, I think, something like that.
It really does sound like Halo took a lot of inspiration from this movie. You know what I mean?
Probably. It could be, yeah.
To me, it sounds like both of them took inspiration from ancient Sparta, and then Halo was influenced by Soldier, because his name is John 117 in Halo. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Okay,
and
so
Halo,
yeah, very similar.
Yeah. And Halo sounds like it's half aliens and half this.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all Spartan. They're all called Spartans. So of course, there's that. And this sounds like it took inspiration from Sparta, because I mean, that story of him as a child, like that's something ripped out of a story about Spartans.
Now Halo, I remember I played Halo. God, it's been 20 years ago at least, where I played the very first version 1.0 of it. And it seems like that, because I don't remember a lot about it, but it seems like your enemy was aliens. Is that right?
Yeah, the enemy's aliens.
Yeah, and and you're a super soldier of some kind, I think, is the way it works out. So
yeah. Halo's great. I keep recommending it to you guys. I especially think that Max would like it because he's into kind of like this high concept sci-fi stuff. Like I said, there's a little bit of cosmic horror in there as well too, especially when you read the books and stuff like that. But yeah, it's an awesome story. Basically, humanity is these alien race. There are a bunch of alien races put together in an organization called the Covenant, and they're basically waging a holy war against the humans. Right? It's like a jihad. There's no reasoning with them. It's not like, okay, we'll give you this planet, and you'll take this planet. No, it's like, we need you wiped out, and they're losing basically against the aliens. And they have these super soldiers, but they all get kind of like wiped out as well. Master Chief is one of the few survivors of them, and that's basically it. It's humans fighting a losing battle. Yeah. And it's really melancholic, like the Alita manga as well. It's basic like the game Halo Reach. It's basically you're playing the deaths of all of these Spartans, and there's no way to survive through the game. Like the last level of the game is playing your death, and I think it's actually a really cool fucking level. Playing your death in first person. But I don't know. I think you guys will like it. I like stories like this.
You didn't get any cheat codes for it there, Dan?
They don't do cheat codes anymore in games these days. It's so
they don't.
No, it's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's so like Resident Evil kind of does that shit, but it's so unfun these days. But yeah, Soldier does sound actually pretty interesting. I might check it out one day for fun.
Yeah, you can get it on YouTube. You can buy it or rent it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sitting here listening to you guys talk about it, and I like Ash Blackwind, so if he recommends it too.
I think he put a post in the chat. This was like 2 days after or 1 day after I had scheduled it. He said I haven't seen that movie in many years and all that kind of stuff. And he was looking forward to the stream. I think he's off now. He left.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I can't think of anything else. I'm going to go ahead and go through of course, we know that Rosa is number one in Creek's book, in terms of being an actress and being Alita, and so she is definitely number one. And, I guess you guys all know why this picture's here, and that's because I like it and because I'm running the stream. So anyway, and me, like everybody else in the Elite Army, we're only here for our girl and the Elite Army. So any final thoughts? Well, Maxie,
well, we should mention tomorrow's stream, but
going to.
I won't be there, so you might as well talk about it, Creaky Sing. It's your topic.
Yeah. Anyway, basically what it is, it's almost, it's kind of an offshoot of what we have here today, but basically what it is, Iron City is was a very dystopian, very tough place to live. Crime rate is high and all that kind of good stuff. And, people, cyborg murderers are going around killing humans and stuff like this, So anyway, Alita, being in the military, she is uniquely prepared for something like this, and I've actually got a PowerPoint presentation put together for this. So, and no, Max, I don't have 99 slides in it, so we don't have to worry about it being 4 hours again. So, but anyway, yeah, it's going to be a neat stream, I think, because we're going to talk a little bit about Alita's training and fighting and how that helped her out and kind of her personality traits and stuff like that, and a little bit about her personally, and how she can deal with others and that kind of thing. So it should be a fun stream, I think. And in addition, I'm going to be the stream manager too. So I'm going to be doing two things at once.
And if Angelus isn't well enough, you might be host as well.
Okay. You can do that.
Because I'm being wifed.
Oh, you're going to be wifed. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Most likely it'll be similar to today. Unless I do get some pineapple pizza into me, then I might, be your backup instead of you being mine or something. But we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely going to be there, just in what capacity.
Okay. Did you hear my eyes roll at that comment?
Yeah. Well, Angelus, you're still going to do the news, right? Because I haven't prepared for that at all. So,
yep.
Okay.
I can still do that easily enough.
Yeah. So if you're feeling peaked, I can be the host and stream manager. So it's not a big deal.
You're the man.
Yeah, I don't know about the man, but yeah. Diz, I see you're out there, bub. You ought to get on the stream with us. Or actually, we're about to get off the stream. So.
I was going to say, get him on the stream and then get him to say goodbye.
And then shut the stream down. Yeah.
That's rude.
Oh, Jesus. So anyway. Okay, so anyway, join us for the Radio Chaos. And we don't have a thumbnail yet. That's Muskogee Creek's placeholder thumbnail. So
I've just finished doing a poster while we were talking.
Oh, okay.
But as nobody's chased any guests for this because I wasn't going to be there, so I didn't chase any guests. It's missing guests, but other than that,
okay.
Anybody listening want to be a guest tomorrow?
Yeah.
We could put a guest on the poster and put it out.
Well, I'll shoot some. I'll shoot some invites out. So
better late than never, dude.
Yeah, we'll get somebody on. And we might even talk Dan into coming back on. Who knows?
If he's interested.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I guess that's pretty much it for the old Alita live stream. Oh, wrapping it up in under 2 hours this time. Wow, that's a record for us. So
hasn't Diz hasn't Diz served like he served in the Aussie Army, or am I just imagining things?
Oh, Diz was in the military, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say he'd be a pretty good host. All
right, Diz, I'm going to send you an invite to tomorrow's stream, bub. So Yeah, but this won't be a comparison like this. We're just going to be strictly talking about Alita, and her qualities and how she was well prepared to live in the Iron City. So,
And to be fair, anyone that has any sort of formal training, whether it be military, police, emergency services in general, I mean, even like paramedics and firefighters, they have to go through their own sort of unique,
yep.
I won't say harsh, but like highly trained sort of routine sort of thing because of the nature of their work. So anyone that's served in that sort of capacity, you're more than welcome to join us for Radio Chaos tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's not just physical.
What David is saying is that he needs a paramedic right now because he's fucked from eating so much
Yes.
But it's not just physical training either. I mean, those folks, they have to be trained in the incident command system and some other stuff, So, I mean, we get them on there and get them talking about all that good stuff. So anyway, but I'll send a bunch of invites out. So
I'll come on tomorrow. I'll
go
some stuff.
All right, I'll shoot you an invite then, Dan. Well, Dan, you were in the police. Weren't you in the police force at one point, or?
No, that's a felony for me to say that.
Oh, I know, but I thought you said you might have been at one point, or maybe you trained policemen. That's maybe what it was. Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, I have trained cops in our gym. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cops, military, everything.
Well, then some of the training. There we go. So.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. I'll quickly share this before we sign off.
Okay.
Entire screen. All right. This is about a 10, 12-minute drive away from where I live right now.
That's probably why you're sitting on the phone.
I love the way that area looks. It reminds me of the West out in the United States, like Arizona, California.
Even driving on the correct side of the road there.
Wait,
but yes, we do have
y'all
time.
No, that ain't the correct
That's the wrong side of the road. No.
I will say this. I went to England a couple of times or 3 times, and I drove on the left-hand side of the road, and it was a little bit of an adjustment. But once you get used to it, and I got back to the States, it's like I had to rewire my brain to get back on the right-hand side of the road.
I don't know if you guys have heard this conspiracy theory, but there's a conspiracy theory that Australia actually doesn't exist. And I'm inclined to
we're all
believe
actors.
that.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, y'all are all crisis actors down there. It's really just England trying to honeypot America into liking them again,
I don't know. You get on Google Maps and see all that stuff, so I don't know.
It's fake.
It's a big job to fake this much space, I've got to say.
Well,
okay.
When people visit Australia, they never come back. So there's always that.
Because they're fucking dead. That's why. They ate the pineapples and got bit by a spider and beat up by a drop bear. Of course,
they get bit by a spider or something. Or one of them goddamn platypuses that sticks their damn, spurs in you or something.
Yeah, don't fuck with the boy platypuses. That's a bad move.
Yeah.
Or stingrays.
Yeah, they say that. Well, let me tell you about stingrays. We have those here. I remember my grandfather. He was out mullet fishing. Now, do you have mullet in Australia? I'm not sure, but it's a fish.
We have mullets. It's not a type of fish.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, he was out mullet fishing. Dan, you know what a mullet is. He was out mullet fishing. And, he stepped on a stingray and it jammed one of its barbs in him, and he went up to the shore and he pulled the barb out and went back out and kept fishing. So he was a tough old nut.
Don't they got those like microscopic, well, not literally microscopic, but tiny ass jellyfish that are like the most poisonous in the world and shit like that?
Irukandji.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, why? Why do you live there? Just, it's beautiful. But like, I like to go outside.
It's a training ground. If you can survive Australia, you're good. You can just go anywhere.
Then we can send y'all to Mars or some shit. You fucking go to Mars and be like, this is nothing, eh?
Well, Dan,
we're not Canadian. We don't put A on the end.
Makes you stronger.
That's true, yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, I guess we'll bring the stream to a close then, and I guess we're going to do our, we're going to do our modified call to action, which is going to be not film those Blu-rays. Damn, Gary, Jesus, film those sequels, film those sequels, baby. So on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3, film
those sequels, baby.
Baby.